Ian.
So I've read half of this before here, but I finished it up. As I wrote for my dad, I didn't want to read it, but you talk about Rick. I don't know Rick, but you know everybody's here is friends, and so I'll just read it. I didn't want to read it, but I'll read it.
I didn't know that was adjustable. All right, thank you.
Oh,
You weren't supposed to know that.
that's a secret.
That was a secret.
Ode to Big Daddy Rick, who was born with a Christian name, Frederick Wilson Caton, but never wanted to be called Fred or Frederick, as Freddie was out as that was his father's name, but went instead by the name of Rick, and yet wrote F.W. Caton II on legal documents and on checks, as it was F.W. Caton and definitely not Junior, whose firstborn son was to be named Frederick Wilson Caton III, but out of spite or contempt or anger, or just to finally put an end to that name, instead named his firstborn son Patrick Darren, keeping alive the name Rick while finally killing the name of Fred, who did not drink like Frederick, but instead ate like Frederick drank, with ferocity and intent and a voracious appetite, consuming pizzas and peanut butter and fun-sized candy bars with peanuts and chocolate, dark, rich beers from Germany and from Switzerland, Mexican foods with sauces and cheese and tortillas and noodles, Chinese noodles, Italian spaghetti noodles, and 6 egg omelets with bacon and pancakes, taking the family to fancy buffets at the Red Lion Inn and all you can eat just for fun, challenging me to pancake competitions at Bob's Big Boy just to see who can eat the most pancakes with butter and 6 types of syrups and a large milk. Who never drank like Frederick, but raged like Frederick, and whose children either drank like Frederick or ate like Big Daddy Rick, for fun, to feel good, to feel full, and with intent, hiding secret stashes throughout the house and garage, getting DUIs and 86'd and gaining an audience but losing friends. The rage would go on and was transferred to his children and to his grandchildren, who went by the name of Big Bear in the Indian Guides of South Valley YMCA, and me as Little Bear or Baby Bear to my older brother. I forgot what his name was, something like Running Bear or Running Fox, as we got to wear the full Indian headdresses when Dad became chief of the tribe, and we stored those headdresses wrapped in tissue paper and kept secure in wooden crates with folding latches high above in the garage next to boxes of Christmas ornaments. And yet today it would probably be called racist. Who marched with Dr. King in the early 60s and got married in 1968 while other young men his age were taken to Vietnam to kill or be killed. But he being saved from the draft due to the fact that he was married with a job and the fact that he had had polio when he was 8 years old in 1952. And then lived in Oakland in 1968 next to Huey P. Newton on one side, Sonny Barger on the other, going to Raider games and Oakland A's games, and working while my mother finished her degree at Cal Berkeley. Who was married in 1968 at the Episcopal church where he was raised, called St. Mark's, to the girl he knew when just 15, his sister's best friend forever, and he forever, and we forever, and they forever, through sickness and in health, in the same church that I was baptized at, where my brothers were both baptized at, and where we were raised. Who never once missed a single soccer game, showing up in Birkenstock sandals and white socks. Who left a size 15 imprint in his Birkenstock sandals that I was never able to fill until he lost his first foot, and then the other. who let me be whatever it was that I wanted to be, no matter how much it frustrated him. And then this is part two. Part two, what were you thinking? What were you thinking as you munched on those corn nuts, inhaling the bag clearly labeled choking hazard, bag tilted to your lips while you sat in dialysis, safest place to choke to death, CPR trained staff recycling your blood, running dialysis machines, ambulances parked close on standby. What were you thinking when you stepped out of the shower after you just moved to the country club? No shower rug to step on, no towel underfoot, just wet, slick Spanish tile as you twisted your knee, your mask betraying you, balance lost, leg giving way, to be splayed out on the floor, that wet Spanish tile. Who called 911? What were you thinking that first trip to the hospital in the back of an ambulance? First of many trips to come, that first long stay as they kept you in the bed, never to shift your foot, never to rearrange your position as you developed that bed sore, first ulcer on heel, that abscess as mom took you home to apply ointment to your daily to your foot. What were you thinking hiding food throughout the house, Baby Ruth and Snicker bars, fun-sized payday candy bars, anything with peanuts for the protein, and chocolate and milk, and extra cheese pizza, always extra cheese on the pizza, and secret trips to McDonald's for double quarter pounders with cheese? What were you thinking as you went back to that hospital for the checkup, and then to return home without a tow? First little piggy went to market. Next little piggy stayed home. Third little piggy had a roast beef sandwich with mayonnaise, a glass of milk, and a bag of potato chips, while fourth little piggy had lasagna with extra Parmesan. As fifth little piggy cried, wee, 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 all the way home. First the toe, then the whole foot. What were you thinking when they took off more of that leg? Then the other foot, then even more leg, just below the knee. Make it easier to fit a prosthetic. Another trip to the emergency room, another call to the surgeon, then the other leg, and another trip in the ambulance, all while falling in shower, getting assistants to go to bed, caretaker to help you shower, mom to feed you chicken and plain white rice. I paid for the privilege, you told me once. Wee, wee, wee. What were you thinking? And then what were you thinking when you were fired finally by your caretaker? Didn't need to put up with that bullshit no more, so you had me help out once a week, wiping ass, hazardous waste, double bagging, wrapping up in 2 garbage bags, lifting you up and setting you down gently, clean and beautiful in your feather soft bed, 3 pillows for your head, still full of dark hair, and now thinning and graying and dark brows, pink cheeks with blue veins, your dark eyes looking up at me with gratitude and me with pity and love, a sense of obligation. This is my dad, the man who cared for me as a child, the man who changed my diapers even when he didn't want to, but only if his wife and sisters weren't around. This is my dad who bought me matching cowboy hats and boots with Patrick for square dances at church. My dad who picked me up from Mr. Black's office for fighting when Mr. Black saved my life from having such big mouth and shitty attitude. This is my dad who took me to church every Sunday, all the way across town to the same church where he grew up. My dad who took us to the snow every winter to stay at that cabin with Mike and Trish, even though he hated snow, and then paid for us to learn to ski while he waited in lodge, drinking coffee, staying warm, watching all the ski bunnies. This is my dad who saw me become Eagle Scout and high school graduate, but who won't get to see his grandson graduate from high school, and didn't get to see me get my master's degree, and won't get to see his granddaughter graduate either, or get married. I paid for the privilege, he told me. Big shot, driving around in Lexus SUV. High school teacher with electric wheelchair on back, never takes a day off. I paid for the privilege, he told me, getting picked up by Golden Chariot just so he could put in volunteer hours at Friends of the Carpenter, working with homeless community, going to Bible study. I paid for the privilege, he told me, as I hosed off his backside after taking shower and toilet, rubbing him dry, balls hanging low. I paid for the privilege, he told me. Wash my ass, he told me. You can't talk to me that way, I replied. What were you thinking that night before you died when we were in Bible study together, reading Genesis chapter 45, and Joseph reveals himself to his brothers, and he forgives them for selling him into slavery? And then even you mentioned forgiveness, how you could even forgive me, how you could even forgive Pete for what no one knows, not even you yourself, but we knew it to be the only way to forgiveness. What were you thinking?
Wow. Yeah. I think I don't have to build anything. Yeah, you're really. I can do that. I can put together bookshelves and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Won't be making any flying frogs anytime soon.
No. I brought something new that I want to share with you. Well, let me back up and say that Chris is the oldest of 6, and I'm really fond of his siblings. And his brother Jason, who's really an interesting guy, a musician and a teacher, and he actually taught classes at Rikers College, or Rikers Prison. Rikers College. It might be. Rikers Prison in New York, and had lots of stories to tell about that. And he's now in a public school system, teaching school. And he and his wife, Mary, have just moved into their first home, a home they built together. And they've been married, what, about 15 years, something now, and saving. And so building this home was a labor of love for both of them. They had a piece of land, and he was out there with the bulldozer and all that stuff that you do, digging trenches for pipes and just everything, and clearing the land and all of that. So we got regular notices on Facebook about the progress, including photographs and all of that. Well, those of you who know me know that I'm just a fanatic about birds and have been most of my life. I'm fascinated with them. And one day on Facebook, I'm reading that Jason says that he's out, he had to take some trees down, and he's out in the land, and he hears an owl. And he looks, and this owl is riveted on him, just like right there, staring. And Jay says, wow, this is really bizarre, okay. He goes away, comes back. Well, the owl, whose territory, I'm guessing, they're very territorial, stayed there, visited him regularly, watched everything that he was doing, watched him clear trees, this whole thing. And he had this thing going on with the owl. And he kept saying, the owl's watching me, the owl is, this is what we have a relationship. Now he has a relationship with the owl. He's telling the owl about, I'm digging the trench, and so they have this thing going on. Well, now that he has this thing about owls, I don't know, and I guess the owl still comes and visits and is outside and is hooting and all of those kinds of things. So I decided that one of the things that I wanted to do for them for housewarming was to paint this owl. So I have a painting that I did of an owl, mostly like it's sitting in a tree, but it has these riveting eyes, and they're yellow and a little bit creepy, but you could tell that when you look at this owl that it's going to those eyes make contact with you. So what I wanted to do was to write a poem to go along with the painting, and it's soon to be framed, and it'll be sent to them as a surprise housewarming gift. So this is the poem. I wish I had brought the painting, but this is the poem. And it's called Listen to the Question, for Jason and Mary. When You build a home unlike any other from the dirt straight up into the blue. When you build a life with another from the heart into a great mystery that unfolds in surprises and adventures. When your dream takes shape, rooms sketched on paper become a house at the end of a winding path, and you see it rise in the clearing. When you choose a few trees that must go, like brothers, into their own lives, and you say, farewell, safe travels. When perplexed owl eyes assess whether these woods can be shared with you and your intentional purpose. When those eyes watch as you dig trenches, haul tree trunks, sweat and swear until you see the dream revealed as your slice of heaven. When you feel mutual respect, for we are all territorial to some degree, and this home in the middle of nature's gifts represents much more than walls. When the day comes that you find a feather, a sign of approval, a signal to live in harmony inside, outside, and you promise to surrender to gratitude at least once a day. When you stand under the stars on a clear autumn night, feel the rush as silent wings brush your shoulders. You listen to the question, who? Who? And say proudly, me, me. I'm really hoping that they're going to laugh. We're going to hear next from Russ.
All right.
Nice job there. Power to the short people. So sometimes it's that personal stuff going on that's the hardest to write about when it's still close. And I'm glad I'm not trying to read anything of my own. That was very powerful what you read there, Ian. Good stuff. I chose one of my go-tos when I don't have something new to write of my own, to go to this book, Songs. And it's interesting to take something you may have heard as a song and now read it as a poem. It has a little bit of a different cast about it. Now this is by an artist I know, but a song that I am not aware of. So I'll give you the title, and some of you are of the right generation, you may know it. And so you know it, and I'll reveal it at the end. And I've asked for incidental harmonica accompaniment, if he wants to. And that's another clue as to who this is. This is read as a poem by one of those artists that took the music away. The title is two different ways of saying the title. I don't know what way I'm not sure if one was the more official title. Love Minus Zero and No Limit. My love, she speaks like silence without ideals or violence. She doesn't have to say she's faithful, yet she's true like ice, like fire. People carry roses and make promises by the hours. My love, she laughs like the flowers. Valentines can't buy her. In the dime stores and bus stations, people talk of situations, read books, repeat quotations, draw conclusions on the wall. Some speak of the future. My love, she speaks softly. She knows there's no success like failure, and that failure's no success at all. The cloak and dagger dangles. Madams light the candles. In ceremonies of the horsemen, even the pawn must hold a grudge. Statues made of matchsticks crumble into one another. My love winks, she does not bother. She knows too much to argue or to judge. The bridge at midnight trembles. The country doctor rambles. Bankers' nieces seek perfection, expecting all the gifts that wise men bring. The wind howls like a hammer. The night blows cold and rainy. My love, she's like some raven At My Window with a Broken Wing. Bob Dylan, 1965.
Thanks, Russ. Bob Dylan will always be welcome at Coast Town.
Yes. Thank you, Russ.
And I encourage people to look at the illustrated lyrics, which are amazing, and also his book called Tarantula, which is one of the most unusual books of poetry that you will ever read, but it's worth your time. A couple of announcements before we go on, so that I can make sure that I make them all. Saturday, next door at Niche, we'll have my monthly workshop. It's usually the second Saturday of the month. This month, a week later, because of the event in Ellensburg that I mentioned earlier. So if you'd like to join us at 11:30 on Saturday, shareable snacks are welcome. And I also, when I do workshops, I ask people to bring a poem to share, to say hello, and get some poetry into the air. So if you'd like to join us, and that's a $20 suggested donation. If you can't swing it or don't want to swing it, please come anyway and be with us. The 23rd, the day before the Sunday Sessions event that Toni mentioned, we will have the Poetry and Music Jam next door at Niche. Has been going well so far. We've had more poets show up to jam than musicians to jam. So if you have musician friends, please invite them, but also mention to them that because of our size and lack of equipment, we're primarily looking for people that can do acoustic music, and Jim Templeton and I are kind of holding down the fort. Jim Templeton plays a mean piano, and he's definitely a professional piano player. So that'll be 3 o'clock on the 23rd. And then, yeah, just one more. Here on the 29th, I mentioned it, but it's worth mentioning again, is when Ann John and the other artists who are part of the Frog Open Studio will have their closing reception, and they would like to invite all of you to come and join them. You might ask them about it. If you happen to be downtown between now and the end of the month, I would also recommend coming in the afternoon. They've been here almost every day in the afternoon doing stuff, and the one who's not here every day is Kathy Rick, and the reason is Kathy did the installation of the tadpoles. She did some of the painting on the walls, and she's responsible for the grass that you see back there. So anyway, Kathy Rick, one of my favorite Vancouver artists, and one of the reasons is she did some shows at the North Bank. It was the first time I ever saw a show in Vancouver where I was like, wow, Vancouver, Washington can hang with New York or Los Angeles. So trust me that Kathy is something special. All three of them are great, but yeah, come by and say hi to them on the 29th. Okay, so a few more to go, and Toni and I are very fortunate to have some of our family from San Clemente here tonight, and the first of them to come and share something with us is Kristen. So please give her a warm welcome all the way from San Clemente, California.
Hello, I'm Kristen. And Chris asked me if he was forcing me into reading, and I said, well, he didn't know me very well because Damon knows. If we put a mic in the room and he asked me to come up in front of it, I'm right there. So. No. Actually, as the night progressed, I did start getting a little nervous because there's some really good poets in the room, and Ian, you were one of those that really touched me with that. Thank you. It was very deep. My dad and I are real close, and that was good. So anyway, last time I was here, I wrote a few for Chris's workshop, which was really cool. And you know, I don't know about anyone else in the room, but I loved my 20s. They were a lot of fun. And I wrote a little snapshot of what my 20s were like. I have 3, and they're all real short, but this first one is a brief history of my youth. It lasted a lifetime, but only for a second. A blink before it was over. A movie that I cannot rewind. I thought I would get forever, and in its eternity, I only got a glimmer. Late nights to early mornings, days before responsibility and high demands. My skateboard and a helmet, wetsuit and the surf. All this before cell phones and the pressure of social media. Size 3 and all the food that I wanted to eat. It was a brief moment in time, those years that I felt so alive, so free. But within my head lies the truth that today is all I have, and acceptance of the now keeps me young forever. Okay, so being in my 30s now, I've become a little bit of a perfectionist, and sometimes I have to tell myself to slow down. It's not very often that I do that, but I wrote about a day that I really just had to kind of tell myself to kind of stop, and it was on the Sunday, so I wrote this about doing nothing. My head won't give me permission to lie on the couch all day. It tells me that I'm stupid, lazy, and fat. All my life's accomplishments are vanished. My muscles are shrunken, just with one day's rest. I struggle with perfectionism, the need to be busy, clean, organized, and accomplished. Keep moving forward, I tell myself. Study something new. Burn a calorie or two, or 1 or 2,000. It's Sunday, though, the day of rest. A reason with my head in order to enjoy the day. I nap, I eat, I listen to the trees sway outside, the birds and their hellos. I realize I'm small in this big world, and all my problems are remanifested inside my own head, into the great makings of my own making. I fear sloth, lack of success, the hamster wheel that never stops within me. And as I sit, I think and tell myself to stop thinking so that I can just be the person I don't know whom I want to be. Okay, so this is my last one, and I wrote it about my love. I wrote it about Damon. Damon and I we live together and we work together. We do yoga together, and we hang out together, and we do all these fun things, and it's awesome. I totally enjoy it. It's a really good life that we get to lead together. So I wrote this about you, Damon. It's called Being a Sea. Birds soaring, clouds moving, people traveling. Our love is an endless piece of time, ageless, childlike and fun. Together we build a mountain, create songs with birds, and chase in the garden. We share our fears and our worries, learn new together, and cuddle in the moonlight. Under the shooting stars, where we make wishes and whisper dreams. Our fantasy is a reality in this chaotic world of ours. Others are an illusion we cast away together, always together. Even when apart, we conquer the world together. Thank you.
And now my pleasure to introduce you to Toni's son, Damon, who I'm proud to call a friend, and we're really glad that you and Kristen were able to come out and be with us here tonight. So please say hello to Damon Kelly.
Hi everyone, I'm Damon. As I mentioned, we're from California. You can boo. Anyhow, I ride motorcycles a lot, and this last summer went on a nice road trip. Did the Sturgis trip and did 5,000 miles in 10 states in like 14 days. And while I was out there, it was interesting. I had this overwhelming desire during the trip to write, and I had given up and not written probably over a decade. And so I got busy with life and doing things, and it was interesting. So as I took the time to kind of unwind, I wanted to put my thoughts to paper. And sometimes wrote, sometimes it was light, sometimes it was dark, but it was basically just whatever hit me from the day. And I actually published that for people, just online that is, for people to be able to kind of be on that journey with myself and hoping to kind of timestamp it. And that was a great thing when people were gone, people I didn't even know, it kind of went, for like my mom, I could send it to her and she could see, and it was really good and therapeutic for myself. And then, poof, the server that was on crashed and it all, disappeared. And that was kind of heartbreaking because it had been like over a decade of writing. I was kind of, excited, oh, this is really good, and you get it, and then all of a sudden it was gone. In this little tidbit, I said I was going to read when I came up from this trip, and of course life got busy. I didn't write anything, and so that was my excuse to not do anything. And then lo and behold, on Kristen's laptop was this little tidbit that I put here that I had saved while I was writing, that I thought was in the deleted bin, and it was only one of the entries that was there today, and it popped out, and we literally just saw it while we were sitting here while she was pulling her stuff up. So it kind of forced me to reading, and that's what I have for you today. So this one was entitled "Americana is Good for the Soul." No matter where you live, how plush or how ghetto it is, getting out on the open road puts your life back in perspective. Mountain trees, desert sands, square-topped bluffs, quiet canyons, hillside caves, rolling streams, peaceful prairies, and big open skies or billowing clouds with distant showers. Fresh air, breathe. Clear head, don't think. It's all out there for the taking. Hard to express the feeling you get when you're rolling over backcountry roads, and as you clear the top, an endless highway into the horizon awaits you. See that mountain range out there in the distance? Yeah, we're gonna go over that today, at some point. We pass rundown barns, abandoned communities, and Chevy trucks that are rusted into the earth. Meet white people with funny accents visiting our national parks. See Navajos peddling turquoise bracelets and pass the empty little Church of Hope. On the interstate, we gladly teach drivers to stay in the right lane so we may pass peacefully on the left. Pull into towns where little kids follow our motos on their BMX bikes, and all the tiny stores and cafes close at 5. Everything is closed. Simple people living simple lives. No Starbucks, no flash, Americana. Different than a road trip in a car. Out here, everyone waves at us. Different than a road trip in a car because nobody's speaking. That's the misconception when you're out on a ride together, because most of the time we're really alone. Like being at a movie. You're with another person, but in your own world. And afterwards you discuss and share the memory. Where are we going? Doesn't really matter. Like the patch on my cut reads, the ride is the destination. Exploring America, one road at a time. Discovering myself, unraveling myself, 1 mile at a time. Thank you.
Hard copy is where it's at.
Yeah.
So a lot of poets, not all of us, have, do the first draft hard copy, then put it on the computer, and even if you fuck up and don't back it up, you could go back to the draft, I guess. So that would be my advice to you. Were you doing stuff on the phone while you were on the road? Is that part of the reason why it was all electronic?
We were in,
Yeah.
motels at midnight. I'm like, I have to post this.
I don't know what I would do if it was all down like that.
We're on the cloud. Yeah. It's all on cloud now.
Bruce, do you know what you should do? Is there anything that can be done in that situation? No. He's shaking.
Google.
It's Google, yeah.
Yeah, there's an
Search.
service called, I think, Wayback or something, and I am embarrassed to have learned that it archives all your old blogs, and
What's it called? Way back?
I think so. I forget.
So do you mean that there might possibly be some of Damon's stuff on the way back?
It depends how long it had been posted, but I was like, what? This is like going up, into your parents' attic and they've saved everything.
Yeah, usually what they say is you can't get rid of any of it, so it could possibly be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I hope you find it. So I think all things poet should be voluntary. I don't think anyone should ever be forced into doing this, but she's been a good sport. She knows that I'm a fan, and also she's going to be a feature coming up in this series. And one of our friends from Portland, so nice anytime someone from Portland drops in. So please say hello to a great writer with a fabulous new book, Naomi Fast.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here, and I've been enjoying it so much. And I would be here much more. I do know how to do this.
Yes. It's not high tech, so I can do it.
Speaking of high tech, I've never read from my phone before, and I'm not sure. Actually hadn't found it because I wasn't prepared to read tonight. I was just coming to enjoy all of you, but I'm excited. So first what I'm going to do is see if I can pull it up, and if I can't, then I'll read the poem that I gave my friend and I stole back from her. And followed by, I realized, oh, I have my journal with me, and I have this draft that I might try out on you. So hopefully that wouldn't be too weird. I've been, here we go. Is this it? I don't know. Yeah, it is. Okay. I've been doing this. Sometimes poets have to organize their stuff, and I love paper copies, and over the last 12 years, through master's degree programs and whatnot, my electronic life has been in complete disarray, and over the last 6 months, I've been in this horribly tedious, boring computer filing project. So that I can put out more books a little bit more easily. In the process, I've found, okay, that's not it. I can't talk and find this at the same time. So in the process, I've found all kinds of weird stuff in e-files. So the first thing I am going to read is, if I can find it, this isn't really a poem per se, but it's just a list of interesting titles from spam email. And in my book, I actually have a poem of like Craigslist ads, 10 of them. If I can find my book, I can actually read from it, but I didn't have a chance to. So here we go. This is the first thing, and I never expected to read this in public or anywhere or do anything with it, so. Hello, Naomi Fast. Check out these affordable dental implants. You're on the cusp of great savings. You can save 80% right now, right here. We are looking forward to provide you with top quality medications at unbelievable prices. A good lawyer can help you win your case. You should definitely come me. It's spelled with, it has an asterisk A, so they're trying to be discreet in the subject line so that I guess it doesn't go to my spam folder, why was I reading my spam folder? I don't know. Obsessive, I guess I just didn't want to lose or miss anything. Anyways, are you struggling with facial wrinkles and sagging skin? Why is it harder for women to lose weight? Oh no, sorry, they're telling me why it's harder. Why it's harder for women to lose weight. Oh, please tell me. Compare burial and cremation benefits. Only 4 hours, save $10 off, $25 plus. You have broken messages. Want to go on a sex date?
Yes.
And then there's one with absolutely no subject. Thinking about a breast augmentation, lift, or reduction. Damaged message was restored and resent to you. Oh, great. Naomi Fast, Jane has sent you a personal message. One new quick hookup alert. Ari, parentheses, O, breast augmentation. Forget subtitles, our titles are super. Do you have these symptoms? So that was just sort of a... Let me see if I can find my... I apologize for Googling while I'm up here. I was born in the 70s and I'm still getting used to this stuff here. Do you guys mind?
They're still here.
All right. 1972, yeah. That's the year. And my parents were married in 1968. That's kind of interesting. I don't know, we got something going right here.
I graduated from high school in 1975. I was born in 72.
I think it's easier to search with parentheses. My book is called Portland Light. It's a play on words.
I was 16 when I graduated.
It has some great photography.
Yes.
Realistic photography as well as the poems.
Yeah, I really don't have it. I guess I need to do better, here it is. I need to get my SEO.
Looking to set over.
Yeah, no, I found it. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to the preview here. I don't know if I can get to the preview on my phone.
Nerves losing patience.
Okay. I really apologize. So, I will read this other poem that I gave to my friend who her mother passed away recently, and I had written this poem many years before, and I wanted to give her a copy, and I stole it from her just in case. And this is called Thoughts in the Kitchen While Visiting My Mother. She was a locked drawer. That is how she loved. More than what's seen in a mirror or the countertop. She would panic and clean it. Plants grew in pots around the sink. She kept them alive. But what was in the drawer? The one she kept locked. Questions can be quite commanding. It's one way she ruled. Kept the questions alive and watered. She cried into the drawer. There may have been photographs in it and papers. She refused to be loved, but she herself loved like a wolf, cubs tottering behind. She kept them ignorant. If there was a thorn anywhere in her body, she put it in the drawer. She put the best of herself in the mirror and looked out, never ceasing. I have collected too many mirrors. October, that's what I have on my calendar, and I will have like an actual copy of my book that day. Yeah, and out in Beaverton there will be a reading on May 21st for book authors in that area. So if you're in that area, stop on by. At the Beaverton City Library. Right, yeah.
What's your book called?
My book is called Portland Light, and post-industrial, what did I call it? Post-industrial city poems and photography.
Ooh, photography.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you. So I'm going to try out two new ones on you to say goodnight.